Hello, everyone. I am just making sure the stream is good. Let me know in the chat if the sound sounds okay. Making sure it all sounds good and everything's good to go for the live stream. I'm so excited. As we're getting started, I literally have 126 books. Hey, Brian, how's it going? I have 126 books to show you. It's been over like the past couple months, and I've got stories to tell you about Carol's book barn. If you watched my recent Goosebumps video, you know Carol's a meme. She is amazing. I can't wait. I'm super excited to talk about Carol's book barn and the adventures that happen there. I'm super excited to be here. I'm so excited to do another live stream with the book haul. Yeah, Brian, seriously, I was like stacking up the books and I was writing notes and I was like, there's so much to go over. This is wild. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be diving in here in just a moment because I've got all of my beverage cups are ready to go. I got some water. I've got a backup water. And then I also decided I needed to bring my spooky mug. So, hey, Coach Adam. Hey, David. I got my spooky ghost mug here. So, because spooky season, along with my Super Mario Boo shirt. So, you got to go with that one. So, we're going to get started with all these books because otherwise we're going to be here all day if I don't get started. So, we're going to start off with something very exciting and Animorphs. So, I'm kind of getting hyped about Animorphs a little bit because they're coming back. Hey, Nescafe, how's it going? The Animorphs books are coming back in 2026, and I'm getting really excited about it. So I've been on the hunt for Animorphs books, as I always do, and I found book number 2, The Visitor, in kind of that original format. They re-released these in 2010, but this one is one of the originals, and I love these ones have the little step back art with like the cutout for the one animal there. Oop, there we go, that way. And so I was super excited about finding this one because I didn't have book 2. I have so many other Animorphs books, but not book 2. But now I do. So I'm very excited about that. And I actually found out too that recently, oh, hey, awesome, David. Recently, I found out that the Animorphs reprints from 2010, they actually stopped them after book 8. I wasn't sure what they stopped them after, but it was book number 8 that they stopped reprinting them in 2010. So with these new reprints coming out in 2026 for Animorphs, if you want them to come out and keep going, we have to buy them. So they look like pretty good covers in my opinion. So yes, Nescafe, I'm doing good. I'm so excited to be here. Definitely, I'll just say, everyone, if you ever have questions about any of the books, put it in the chat and I will get to it as soon as I can. I try and keep my eye on the chat as much as I can. So here we go. Number 2, The Visitor. Oh, do you think? Yes, I do think they're going to update things for modern readers, Brian, because I noticed when I was doing some research on these, the 2010 editions, they actually did update some of them. And if you've ever seen Spongy, the editor, in any of my comments, he has a blog too where he posts a lot of different stuff. On his stuff, he's talked about how there were updates in the 2010 editions with some tech updates. So they added like cell phones, things like that. So I'm not sure if they're going to do that in this new one. Hey, Storm Reads, I saw you earlier on Beach Bums Books live stream. Yeah, I know. I don't want them to update it, Brian. I feel like they should do the originals. I think they can get around it if they just go for it. So I also found book number 8, and this one is The Alien. This is the last one they reprinted in 2010 before they stopped because sales were just not going. So this one also has the really cool step back art here. So it has like that cutout for the face, and then you've got the character there inside the school and everything. So these ones also, these older editions, I hope they do it on the newer ones. But at the bottom, let's see if I can get it. Oh yeah, there it is. At the bottom there, you can see the transformation happen on the bottom of the book, which I always thought was so cool when I was a kid. I really love those. So, and then I found as well one of, oh, hey, Joe, how's it going? Oh, yeah, no problem. Hey, no problem. We just started. Only got a couple books going. Hey, Carmen, how's it going? Welcome. Yeah, I'm super good, super excited about this. So I found there were only 2 of these from what I can tell, and I found Animorphs. This is Megamorphs Number 2, which these ones were a little bit longer than the regular Animorphs, and this one's called In the Time of the Dinosaurs. Which I guess K.A. Applegate did write these, but then later on, starting around like book 24, she stopped writing them, and all the rest of them were ghostwritten, which that was news to me as I was doing some research. I thought, no, K.A. Applegate, how could you? But you got to do what you got to do. She had tons of other series going on, like Everworld. If you've ever read Everworld, that's a really interesting mythology series that K.A. Applegate did. And also her Remnant series that she did was really popular too. But so this one is the Megamorphs. And I believe this one takes place after book 18 is when you're supposed to read this one if you're reading them straight through. So after book 18, you read Megamorphs number 2. So then this was the one I did not know existed until I found it at the used bookstore and I thought, what is this? And it's a choose your own adventure Animorphs book. And it's called The First Journey. This is the first one. They only did 2 of these and it's called Alternamorphs, which I gotta say is a pretty clever name. So Alternamorphs, and you can kind of see there's like this lion there, and it's really shiny cover. There's this lion there, and when I found this one, you might notice this. This was hiding inside, and it's definitely an Animorphs bookmark that someone had left in this book when I picked it up used. And it has like a little checklist on the back. So I was really excited to find this in the book. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I will definitely use that when I'm going to be doing an Animorphs reread coming up. And I will definitely be using this bookmark as I reread them. But so this one is really interesting because I was looking through it and it's a choose your own adventure, but it's kind of interesting because you read like several chapters and then there's a choice. And so then you make the choice, and it usually depends on like what kind of animal you want to morph into because you are the star of the book. So I thought it was really interesting that it was like a choose your own adventure Animorphs. So, oh, Joe, you found some Bailey School kids at Goodwill. I definitely have a couple of those here today. So I've got some Bailey School Kids books coming up. And oh yeah, I love choose your own adventure books. I'm excited to read this and kind of see where it is. I trying to figure out if there was a place to read this, like in the storyline of Animorphs, but I couldn't tell from looking through everything. I think it's just like a standalone story, The First Journey, with you as the star, as the Animorph. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I was super excited to find this one. So then not Animorphs, but Humanimorphs. this one, this one made me laugh. Yeah, Storm reads, you should try Animorphs. They're more serious than you think, and they're pretty intense, which I kind of like that about them. So this is Humanimorphs, which I found at a used bookstore by M.D. Spencer, which you might recognize the name M.D. Spencer if you read the Shivers books, because he also wrote the Shivers books. And Humanimorphs, this book is kind of odd. I'm not going to lie. This one is called, it's number 4, called Air Morph 1, Ready for Takeoff. Which I guess in this book, what it's about, I can't say all the things on YouTube because I'm afraid I'll get flagged if I say what this book is about on YouTube. So I will show you the back and you can kind of take a look for yourself, especially down at the bottom of that second paragraph. There's a very interesting word at the bottom of it that I don't want to say because I don't want to get in trouble. But basically, in this one, Melvin, he can morph into the president of the United States and has to stop a plot. And I read the back of this. I normally don't, but I was like, oh, I kind of am curious. I haven't read any of these, but then I read the back of this and I thought, what on earth is going on in this series? So I'm intrigued to read these. I have a couple other ones of these Humanimorphs ones, but I have not read any yet. So I am curious about them and I will see how they are, and I will definitely let you know in a review. So next up, I got another sci-fi book for you here. This one is another 90s series that I now have the full collection of, and I definitely paid for the full collection of this because I got book number 3 in the Mind Warp series, Alien Scream by Chris Archer. Now, this series, it's kind of, to me, it's like X-Files for kids, but just the aliens episodes of X-Files. And the first two books I have read, I stopped because I did not have book three, and it is a continuing storyline. These books are so intense, and I really love the first two, especially the very first book in the series, Alien Terror, has so many 90s references. So if you like 90s references, you should definitely check out Mind Warp, because book one was, it's the most 90s references I've ever read in a book. It was everything from like X-Men stuff to like Wishbone to all the things. It was wild. I was like, can they actually put that in that book? I am surprised that they're allowed to put these things all in here. But so this is book number three. And unfortunately, I paid for this because I ordered it from Canada, and I ordered it right when I didn't realize there was going to be some new charges on books coming in from out of the country. So I had to pay an extra $10 after the fact. So, but I now have it. And it's in very nice condition, versus some of the other ones I have of the series are not as nice. But and these have these really amazing like foil pieces on them, which I think are so awesome. So it's kind of like each one of these books, there's a kid who finds out there's something alien going on in town, and they're all in the same town, and it all has the same like alien lore going on. So these are a lot of fun. If you like X-Files, but you want to read like a middle grade version of X-Files, these are pretty awesome. I love the first two in this series. So then next up, I did find another Alex Mack book, The Secret World of Alex Mack from Nickelodeon. This was a show on Nickelodeon back in the day, and this girl, Alex Mack, she gets involved in like an accident at a factory, and she can like do things. She has like powers and stuff. Mainly she can like kind of turn to goo and do like, she has like electricity kind of power things. So this is book number, I believe, number 5. They don't have numbers on these from what I remember on the spines or anything. So you kind of have to just look at publication order. But this is book number 5, and it's Mistaken Identity by Diana G. Gallagher, who wrote quite a few in this series. So these are kind of based off some TV episodes. Some of these are really hard to find, and some of them are super easy to find. I usually find these at Goodwill. Yes, old Nickelodeon was so great. There were so many amazing shows back in the day. I loved it. Like, I would always go over to a friend's house and we would watch Nickelodeon, and it was a lot of fun. I always remember. And my brother really liked Alex Mack from what I remember. And I don't have a ton of memories of the show. I remember a few episodes, but I don't have a ton of memories of Nickelodeon from this show. But I remember other shows like The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. I vaguely remember that. But yes, yeah, I agree, Brian. I don't think it's as good anymore, but that's just me. Yeah, Shelby Woo. I just remember there was this one where it was like this person like tapping their fingers on the window, and I was just laughing the whole time, like, who's the mystery person tapping their fingers on the window? It was great. I loved it. So then, this one's not a 90s book. It's actually a little newer, but this one is, I believe, from 2012. And this is a Garth Nix book, which Garth Nix is an Australian author, and I really love Garth Nix's books. He writes a lot of fantasy and sci-fi stuff, and this one in particular is so much fun. So this one is called A Confusion of Princes. It's a standalone sci-fi novel where there's like this kind of intergalactic empire thing. All these princes are vying for the title of emperor, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a really great like sci-fi adventure. Garth Nix is really good at doing plot twists and things like that. So I really love Garth Nix books. They're so great. In fact, I brought a couple others because I wanted to show you my favorite Garth Nix series. If you're looking for a really fun fantasy series to read that is just wild, Garth Nix's The Keys to the Kingdom series, Mr. Monday. This is such a great Australian fantasy series. I love this book so much. It's one of my favorites. I love this whole series. There's 7 books in the series, and they just get better and better and better. There's so much lore in them. That's great. So, moving on from some sci-fi stuff, over to some thrillers and some basically paperback horror thrillers. So if you've been watching my channel, you know that I am a huge Diane Ho fan from Nightmare Hall, her series Nightmare Hall, which is part of Point Horror, according to some people, apparently, but not to others. But Diane Ho is such a great author, and she has this series that I found called Med Center. And Diane Ho, this is book number 1 in the series called Virus. These are all like medical thrillers that Diane Ho wrote. And she actually, I found out, yeah, Brian, she passed away in August of this year. So if you've never read a Diane Ho book, this is the year to do it in honor of her, and may she rest in peace. Like, this is such a great series, as well as Nightmare Hall is so good. I love Nightmare Hall. It's like such a great series. So I haven't gone to read any of these yet, but someone was telling me that these are amazing. So I'm super excited to read these. I also read Funhouse by Diane Ho too, and Funhouse was so fun. No pun intended. It really was great. I loved that book. So this is book number 1, Virus and Med Center. And then I also found book number 2, Flood, which these are all, obviously about different disasters. So this one says, Will the Struggle for Life Be Won? And this was book number 2 in Med Center. And then I also found book number 3, Fire. These were all together on the shelf, and I grabbed them all at a half price books. I was so excited. Med Center sounds like a Halloween hospital mystery. Yes, I agree, Nescafe. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. So this is book number 3, and it says, A Fight to Survive. And then also I found book number 4, Blast. This one, it says Buried Alive, which I'm very curious about that, like what this one is kind of about and like what's going on. I really love medical dramas and like medical thrillers in particular. I think they're a lot of fun. So I'm super excited to read these because I love Diane Ho too. So this one is book number 4, Blast. And then I also found book number 5, and this one is called Blizzard. Which this one, it says A Battle Against Nature, which I was looking at the cover and I was like, what is going on back here? Like with this blizzard that I don't understand how we're able to see her above the swirling snow like that, but okay, it's fine. So this is book number 5. There's one more book in the series called Poison, and I didn't find that one. I only had the first 5 there. So I'll have to read these through, try and find book 6 so I have the whole series. But that is the Med Center series by Diane Ho. So then I found a copy of this. Now I actually have a copy of this, but it was in shrink wrap when I found it. So I found this copy and I said, that's going to be my reading copy. So because I kind of didn't want to take it out of shrink wrap, but I found R.L. Stine's The Babysitter. And this one is from 1989. It has that orange spine, which I really love the colors on the sides of these R.L. Stine ones from this particular run of these Point books. So this one is The Babysitter, which I have not gone to read any of these yet. There's 4 of them in the series. They're all YA ones. And this one, it has a sticker from some store somewhere where it was $2.61 back in the day, which I thought that was kind of fun. So sometimes I don't try and mess with the stickers. When I find them on the back, I decide, I'm just going to let it go because I don't want to ruin the book. Some of those old stickers are really hard to get off. So this one I found and I was super excited. It says on the bottom there, every step she takes, he'll be watching. So this is, one of those classic babysitter thrillers. So I'm excited to read this one. I can't wait. And then this is my first Caroline B. Cooney book that I found, and that is Flash Fire. So yes, R.L. Stine's the same one that writes Goosebumps. He wrote some YA stuff too. So this one is Flash Fire in the Point series. And this one, I have not read any Caroline B. Cooney. A lot of people really love Caroline B. Cooney. So I'm interested to read it. I don't know if this one is as much like supernatural horror or not, or if it's just a thriller. Sometimes some of these Point ones have supernatural elements and sometimes they don't. So this one, Flash Fire, looks like a lot of fun. It says, you can run, but you can't hide. A very, very typical little tagline there. And then this one, I read the back of this one, and I don't normally because I was kind of deciding if I should just grab it or not. But this one sounded really, really interesting. And it's called When No One Was Looking. And the tagline underneath says somebody died. And I don't think that somebody died is part of the title, from what I can tell. It's just part of the sub, like little tag on the book. But this one's by Rosemary Wells. It's another point book. And the back of this one, I'm going to read it to you because it sounds really interesting. It says, Kathy's a natural at tennis, and she wants it all to turn pro, win the US Open, have her own line of rackets, and she wants it bad. Only one thing standing between her and the top, Ruth Gum, a big, strong player whom Kathy simply can't beat. Until one morning, Ruth is found in the bottom of the club pool. The police say it was an accident, but everyone knows it wasn't. Now nothing can stop Kathy from being number one, not even a body or two. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of intrigued. Yes, Joe, I do have some Wishbone ones coming up. I've got some Wishbone today. Son's coming up. I've got some Wishbone today. So this one sounded really intriguing to me. I'm very curious about it. I think it sounds pretty good. So this one, it kind of reminded me when I read the back of Fear Street's The Thrill Club book, which I read that one, or not The Thrill Club. I'm sorry, not The Thrill Club, The Boy Next Door. The beginning of the Boy Next Door Fear Street book, that scared me so bad. It's really intense, but it kind of reminded me of this. So I'm super curious about this one. So next up, I've got some middle grade horror stuff. Hey, Shady Side Library, how's it going? Oh, you have some of the Med Center. Oh, you're terrified to read them. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Fair. So I found some middle grade horror books that I'm super excited about. These were all at Goodwill, and I couldn't even believe it. They were all just marked 99 cents, and I thought, oh, I'm going to grab those. So the first one is K.R. Alexander's Dark Room, which this one is from, I believe, 2022. Yes, 2022. And so he writes like spooky, like horror kind of ghost stories for middle grade. So a lot of the K.R. Alexander books are kind of ghost stories or monster stories. So this one is called Dark Room. And then the next one that I got from K.R. Alexander, I am excited about this. I kind of love these kind of creepy hotel kind of ones. This one is called Vacancy. And this one, The Collector is one of the books that K.R. Alexander is really known for, which I think there's that's this one right there. That's the Collector one right there. That was this K.R. Alexander's really popular one. Also, The Fear Zone is another popular one from K.R. Alexander. But this one sounded really interesting to me because it's like a spooky hotel, and I love spooky hotel kind of stories. So I was excited to find this one at Goodwill. And then this is a new author to me, but I got this book actually from the library, and then I had it and I found it then at Goodwill. So I returned the library copy because I found this copy. And this is Camp Scare by Delilah S. Dawson. So this is a middle grade novel, and it's about this one. I'm going to have to wait till next year because it's a summer camp book. But it's a summer camp spooky book where there are some spooky things happening at camp because it's not Camp Care, it's Camp Scare. So I'm excited to read this one next spooky summer season. And then also by Delilah S. Dawson, I also found this one called Mine, which all the reviews I read of this book said this book was legitimately terrifying. So I am intrigued because it's like about a haunted mirror kind of thing, and that intrigues me a little bit, but it looks spooky, and all the reviews are spooky. So that's another one that I found. Yeah, the Camp Scare one, Nescafe. Oh, you've read those Storm Reads? Were they good? I'm so intrigued because I've heard people say they're really fun. So I'm excited to read them. So yeah, it's gonna scare me probably, but I love a good haunted mirror kind of story. Okay, so this one, don't judge me for this one. But I found this one, and I was kind of hem-hawing about it, but then I grabbed it because I thought I do like werewolf stories. I think they're fun and interesting, and I'm a sucker for Archie comics. So I found an Archie comics horror novel called A Werewolf in Riverdale by Caleb Rarig. And so this one, it's like there were only 2 of these that they put out, and they take place in Riverdale with all the Archie Comics characters, but they're like horror stories. So I'm excited to read this one. I do love a good werewolf story, and it sounds intriguing to me. So I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, with a name like Camp Scare, it reminds me of the song Nature Trail to Hell by Weird Al Yankovic. Yes, that is probably true, Joe. Okay. Oh, Storm Reads. Yeah, I like them. Probably mine more than Camp Scare, but both were good. I'm excited to read those. I think those could be really, really interesting. So this one, it looks like a lot of fun to me. I do like werewolf stories, but don't judge me for this one. All right. So I've got a few more now. I'm going to move on to some mystery books that I've got here. So I've got a few different mystery series that I found some more books in that I've been collecting the series and found them. The first one, this one is called The Baker Street Mysteries. This is book number 4, the last book in the series by Jake and Luke Taney, and this one is The Thundering Underground. This is like a series of books where there's like these kids, this is a typical trope, but it's like a group of kids that help out Sherlock Holmes. So this is book number 4 in the series. And then I found 2 more books in the Disney Adventures Case Busters series by Joan Lowry Nixon, which Joan Lowry Nixon wrote a lot of like YA thrillers back in the day, but she also wrote these Case Busters ones, which are they're like sort of like spooky-ish Hardy Boys. So this one is number 4, Check Into Danger. Again, a spooky hotel. I love it so much. So they're really short books. They have pretty big font, but they're mysteries. And I believe these ones don't have any actual spooky stuff. So it's kind of like Scooby-Doo kind of situation. But these look pretty fun to me. And I also found in that same series, this one looks a little creepier because it's got clowns. Clowns are on the cover. This one is book number 6, Secret of the Time Capsule, in the Case Busters series by Joan Lowry Nixon. So this one is just another one in the series. I have no idea what's going on in this cover. It looks very wild to me, but it could be fun. Who knows? I'll let you know when I read it. And then another little mystery book. I've been collecting these because I really love the Clue books. And so I've slowly been also collecting the Clue Junior books. These are a series of books based on the board game Clue Junior. This is book number 2, The Case of the Stolen Jewel. And in this one, there's short stories that are all mysteries. And then at the end, it gives you the upside down page there where the answer to the mystery is written upside down. So you can try and solve it yourself before you read it. And I'm going to tell you right now, even in these Clue Junior ones, some of the mysteries are really hard to solve. Like I've read a couple and I thought, I have no idea. So Clue Junior, if you want to try and, be smarter than an early reader, then try a Clue Junior book. Who knows? Maybe you'll solve the mysteries better than me. And then I found a couple more books in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV series. And this one is book number 3 in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV series called Safari Sleuth. So these are all based off of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles show, which I do believe is on Disney Plus. If you really want to watch it, I will warn you, they're pretty boring. I don't think they're very interesting personally, especially if you like Indiana Jones. These will probably be a little disappointing to you, but these are more like historical kind of books, like teaching you history stuff, than they are adventure, looking for treasure kind of stories. But this one is based off of an episode. This is book number 3. And there are so many different Young Indiana Jones book series. This one is based off the TV series. And how you can tell is that, first of all, it has the like live action photo on the front, but also on the spines, it will say up at the top there, TV, and then the book number. So that's kind of how you know which one it is. Yeah, I'm with you, Nescafe. I like the original Indiana Jones movies. I will say the Indiana Jones prequel novels are pretty fun. The very first one's a little slow, but when you get to like number 4 in that series, they are so good. Oh no, did I freeze? Oh, I'm so sorry, Joe. Hopefully I'm not frozen. I think I'm good on my end. Uh-oh. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it'll just jump back in. But in this one, Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, it follows young Indiana Jones. So then I also have book. Oh, awesome, Joe. I'm glad you got it fixed. I also found book number 8 in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles called Prisoner of War, which is based off another one of the Indiana Jones episodes from the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV series. So this one is another one. I believe this one is about World War One, from what I remember, because Indiana Jones was this age during World War One, and then in the movies it was during World War Two. So you got to keep track of all your history when you read these books. And then I have never seen this book until I found it at Goodwill. And now I see it everywhere. And I've been like, why is this book suddenly every single place I've looked and I've never seen it before? So this book is book number 2 in Sports Mysteries, The Haunted Soccer Field by T.J. Edwards. And I am not even kidding. I see this book all the time now, and I don't even know why. It's just everywhere. It's from the 80s, I believe. Let me double check when this was. Or 90s, actually. I'm sorry, the 90s. There were 4 books in this series, and each one is a little spooky, but a sports mystery. So this one could be kind of interesting. And then next up, I've got 3 in the 3 Investigators series. So 3 Investigators. These are a classic mystery book series. They're kind of like an edgier Hardy Boys, in my opinion. Like, they all are a little spooky, like a Scooby-Doo, but not any of the silliness of Scooby-Doo. But what I mean by that is they each have like spooky things, but there's no actual supernatural stuff going on. And what's really intriguing about these is Alfred Hitchcock was kind of like part of the series as a character. So this is book number 1, The Secret of Terror Castle. And this one in particular is the 1985 reprint. But I believe the original was from 1965, if I have it correct. So these are each like mystery books. They're pretty fun. I remember checking these out from the library. I remember very vividly a UFO one where they're like looking in this like mesa and there's a UFO, and it was pretty fun. I liked it a lot. So I've slowly, when I find these, I pick them up. They're hard to find though. And what's even harder to find than these 80s versions are the 90s versions. These, there we go. These 90s versions are so difficult to find. I hardly ever see them, and when I do see them, they're priced really high. This one happened to be at a half price books, and it was in the clearance section for like $2, so I grabbed it because I never see them that cheap. This one is book number 6, The Secret of Skeleton Island, and the first 10 of these books were written by Robert Arthur, and then the series shifted over to some other authors. But these are 2 in the 3 Investigator series that I found. And then I also found, this cover is really awesome. I also found The Mystery of the Invisible Dog. This is book number 23, and this one is by M.V. Carey and came out in 1984, was this particular edition. Yeah, it was a good deal for $2 because some of those are hard to find. And so I really liked the cover of this one. That it looked like a lot of fun to me. So these 3 Investigators books, if you like Hardy Boys, but you like a little spooky, these are pretty fun to read. And I think a lot of them are on Kindle and on ebook. So they're pretty easy to find digitally, harder to find in print. So, Joe, I got some Wishbone. So here we go. I've got 2 more Wishbones that I found. So the first one that I got was Wishbone, As Everyone Should Learn the Story of Oliver Twist, from Wishbone the Dog. This is a Wishbone Classics books. There are 2 different Wishbone, well, actually 3 Wishbone series. There's the Wishbone Classics, Wishbone Mysteries, and then Wishbone Super Mysteries. Wishbone, if you don't know, was a TV series on PBS back in the 90s. And it was such a great show because every single one talked about classic literature. And then it would be with Wishbone the Dog, who was like playing the main character. And then there was kind of a subplot going on always with Joe and his friends and things. But this one is Oliver Twist, and this is book number 5 in the classic series, which in the classic series, there's 12 books total. Oh yeah, Joe says, I have that book. I have the TV episode Twisted Tale on VHS. Nice. That's awesome. And then I also found a Wishbone mystery, and this one is Wishbone Mysteries number 4, Tale of the Missing Mascot. And this one's by Alexander Steele. So this one is a mystery. It's like a standalone. It doesn't have the literature stuff going on. They are just mysteries that Wishbone is involved in. Oh yes, Aaron. Yeah, yay for Wishbone. Wishbone's a classic. Wishbone's an MVP. We love Wishbone. So Wishbone is a lot of fun. If you've never read the mystery ones, they have super mysteries, and one of them is a Halloween one. It's like a Halloween Joker, I think it's called, as the first one. And those ones are like 250 pages. These ones are more like that 120-ish page or so kind of length. So, moving over to some adult mystery books, I found a few Agatha Christie's because I'm an Agatha Christie fan. I first read And Then There Were None way back in the day, and I loved that book. And then I can't remember who is in it, but the black and white film of And Then There Were None is so creepy and so disturbing. It holds up as such a great film. If you're looking for a really creepy mystery, that mystery, if you don't know the twist to it, don't look it up. Just go in, read the book, or watch that old black and white film. It has such a great twist. I love it so, so much. Oh yeah, Joe says on the Wishbone book, yes, it's called The Halloween Joker. The front artwork was photographed at the set of the old Murphy house from Halloween Hound, The Legend of the Creepy Collars. That's awesome. I like it. Yeah, I really love Agatha Christie's store reads. I think Agatha Christie's great. So I found 3 of them. One's a classic, and I know I've never read the book, but I do know the twist of the book. So I don't know if I'll read it just anytime soon, but I found Murder on the Orient Express, and I found them in these really great little mass market paperbacks. These were at Goodwill. And so I was super excited to find these little mass market paperback editions. I thought these were super fun. I really love like these kind of mass market size for reading mystery books. So this one is Murder on the Orient Express, with Hercule Poirot as the detective who is trying to solve the mystery of what's going on. I love an isolation mystery where they're stuck in one place kind of thing. Like on this one, they're all on the train. So it's like someone on the train has to be the murderer. And I love those kinds of stories. Like my favorite Murder, She Wrote episode is Murder Takes the Bus, because they're stuck in this like town because there's a storm and there's someone who's been murdered on the bus, and one of the people in the little diner they're stuck at is the murderer, and they're all in the same room together. Those are my favorite kind of mysteries. So this one's a fun one if you're looking for that kind of a mystery, Murder on the Orient Express. And then this one, I actually hadn't heard of this Agatha Christie book, but I also found They Came to Baghdad, and I don't think this one, trying to remember who this one has in it. Oh yeah, Storm reads. I love that Murder, She Wrote episode. It's so good. This one, I don't believe it's not a Hercule Poirot, and it's not a Miss Marple. It's Victoria Jones is who is being it's about. But I'm not sure what this one's really about that much. So I kind of want to go into it cold and not knowing anything about it. And then I also found this one is The Man in the Brown Suit, another mass market paperback. And this one is also another great, mystery. Obviously, Agatha Christie. It's going to be a good mystery. Agatha Christie is the GOAT. So this one, The Man in the Brown Suit. I was excited to find it. And then I put this in the mystery section because I didn't know where else to put it in all of my books. But I saw this, and I've never read this book, but I love this movie. And so I decided, you know what? I should get the book, because there it was, sitting there as a little mass market paperback, none other than Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited. I want to read this book. I think it looks like a lot of fun. This little mass market paperback, I love. It's a little beat up, but it was pretty cheap. It was like $1, I think it was, at half price books. And so I'm excited to read this because I've heard people say the book is better than the movie, and I think the movie is pretty genius. So I'm excited to read this one and see how it holds up to the movie. And Jurassic Park, it's classic. You can't go wrong. Hopefully not. Yeah, Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark. Oh yeah, all the dinosaurs running wild. Yeah, it scared me the first time I ever watched it, but I really like it. And then, okay, I broke my own rule. I had a rule that I only buy this series in mass market paperbacks, but I saw this beautiful hardback edition and I had to buy it. So I did. And so I got a Murder She Wrote book. Madison Avenue Shoot. And so this one is this very nice hardback with a very nice dust jacket still. So I thought, oh, I just gotta do it. And it was at Goodwill for all of $1.50. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna do it. So I really love Murder She Wrote books. They're obviously, I think they're not as good as the show, but they're a lot of fun still. There's some pretty good ones. Like I like Murder on QE2. That one is a really good one. I know. This was hard. I actually walked past it and I pulled it out and I put it back and then I decided to come back to it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna get it. So hey Isaiah, welcome. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Murder She Wrote's a classic for sure. So I'm excited about reading this one. And I actually kind of liked the feel of the there we go, this way. I liked the feel of the hardback, like the way it kind of looked. So I guess now I can buy hardback Murder She Wrote books because I broke my rule, so it's broken. So there we go. So then I found some other interesting things. These I actually found at an antique store and I saw them and they were all bundled together. And I said, hey, are those actually all in one bundle for $5 or are they individually $5? And the worker said, nope, that's the whole bundle is $5. So I bought them all. So I picked up a whole stack of Disney Adventures magazines. If you were a 90s kid and you watched Disney Adventure stuff like the Disney Afternoon, and this magazine was like it was like every kid wanted this magazine. It's so fun. So these each have this one is the very first issue. It's volume 1, number 1. And this one obviously Rick Moranis is on the cover right there. Each one has like some interview with a major star. But what's awesome about these two is they all have comic strips in them with like Rescue Rangers or there's let's see what other ones are in this particular one. This one, oh, it has a Tailspin comic in it. They have DuckTales. Oh, yeah, here's a DuckTales comic. There's sometimes like Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles, like all of those classic shows. Oh, here's a Roger Rabbit comic was in this one. So there's like so many amazing like little short comics in these. They have like interesting different articles and stuff. So this one is volume 1, number 1. So here we go. There's a few of these. And then this one is volume 1, number 2 with Fred Savage on the cover right there. So you've got all these awesome, this is like a Christmas edition with some Christmas like Rescue Rangers and DuckTales and Tailspin comics in it. That was awesome. I was so excited about it. And then this one is volume 1, number 4 with Bob Saget on it. And this one also has Roger Rabbit right there on the cover too. And then this one is volume 1, number 5. And this one, it has John Candy on the cover. So it's like all these classic 80s, 90s people. It's so awesome. So these have all a bunch of more comics and things in them too. And then this one has, I'm not going to lie. I actually do not know Bronson. I don't know how to say his last name, but I can't remember what movie this guy's in. So it's escaping me right now. But this one has on the back cover the Little Mermaid handheld. If you remember any of these handhelds from back in the day, I had a 101 Dalmatians ones of these. They were like a little tiny handheld with an LCD display that you played the game, and you could like there usually were a few different levels with different like little graphics that would pop up on it. But I also had, I think we had a Rescue Rangers one, if I remember. But I remember the 101 Dalmatians one. I loved that game. I beat it a few times because it was just so much fun. And then this one is volume 1, number 9 with The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer is a very interesting movie. I went back and I actually watched it. And it wasn't too bad. I think it's not the best movie, but I remember the video game for Nintendo back in the day. And then this one is volume 1, number 10 with Hulk Hogan on it. And it has dinosaurs. I don't know what's going on there, but there you go. And then this one, Joe, you're going to like this a lot. This one is not actually have a volume or number, but it has Weird Al Yankovic on it. So, and Tailspin all together, blasting off to outer space. So these also had like puzzles in them and like little like you could do like different like there were challenges in them that you could also do too. So these are a lot of fun. I read one through all the way through, and it was a lot of fun to read these. So I have a couple other ones that I'd found another place before, but now I have quite a few of these, which I'm very excited about. So then, whew, here we go. There's so many. I have such a huge stack to go still. Okay, so go a little fast for a few of these. So for then next up, I found a few more in the Fabulous Five series by Betsy Haynes, who also wrote the Bone Chillers books. So these were made in the 80s. She wrote these. So this is the Fabulous Five. It's kind of like a sort of like a Full Housey kind of vibe, I think is the best comparison with like, or like Babysitter's Club ish. Like they're sort of like that. This one is book number 4, Her Honor, Katie Shannon. So that's book number 4. And then I also found book number 6, The Parent Game. So there's that one, book number 6, The Parent Game. Oh yeah, Coach Adam, you remember getting those Disney magazines at the local Vaughn store? That's awesome. I love that. And then this one is book number 25, The Fabulous Five -1. So these ones are like kind of, they're short-ish reads. They're like that 120 length, but they're like quick reads that are kind of like that comedy sort of kid drama sort of book. So, and then I also found 2 more in the Incredible Worlds of Wally McDougall series, the longest series title of all time by Bill Myers. So this one is book number 15, My Life as a Human Hairball. And these are, I don't even know how to explain these. I've read 2 of them. They're very wild. Like they're like humor books, which back in the 90s, books like this that were like a prose book, they often had like these humor kind of books. But nowadays, a lot of these humor books have moved over to like Dog Man, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, like kind of those half comic-y, half like prose kind of books. So I feel like these are kind of interesting because they don't really make books like this anymore. So this one is book number 5, My Life as a Human Hairball. And then this one's really interesting because I have this spreadsheet on my phone that has my list of like all of the books that I own. So that way I don't double buy something. But I was so confused over this because I found book 17 in the Incredible Worlds of Wally McDougall, My Life as a Mixed Up Millennium Bug, which came out in 1999. You might be able to see where this is going. And I thought, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I already have book 17, but that's not what book 17 is called. So what's going on here? And so I discovered something interesting. And I brought it over here because I wanted to show you. Sorry, I leaned away from the microphone. But I brought it over because I wanted to show you. Here we go. Book number 17, the copy I already had, was called My Life as a Computer Cockroach. And I was thinking, why did they change the name? And this one came out in 2009, this one in 1999. And I think, oh, Coach Adam, I bought like 126 books. We shouldn't talk about it too much. But this one, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. It's like the same book, but a different title. And I think it's because they thought, okay, yeah, in 1999, people are going to know like the new millennium. We were all talking about that, like Y2K, 2000s. But in 2009, kids reading that are probably going to be like 9 years old and be like, I don't know what that means. So I thought that was really interesting, like little book history. So there you go. Okay, so let's move over to some spooky middle grade books because I've got quite a few. There's quite a stack here. My hand is on top of the stack right there. So here we go. So I found a couple more in the Adventures of the Bailey School Kids series. And the first one I found was book number 42, Robots Don't Catch Chicken Pox. So this one, this series is wild. I've read a few of them. They're pretty funny, but they're a little maddening. If you like spooky books, they're kind of maddening because they never really confirm if the robot is really a robot or is it just a teacher. I don't know. It depends. Who knows? The kids do not ever know, but this show does not compute. So this is number 42, Robots Don't Catch Chickenpox. And then I also found Book number 45, Wizards Don't Wear Graduation Gowns. This year, graduation will be magical. Book number 45. So this one's getting up towards the top. I believe there's like 50 something books in the first run. And then there's like a sequel series that's Bailey City Monsters. There's also the special editions of the Adventures of Bailey School Kids where they're like longer books. So these are the shorter ones. These are real easy reads. They have a lot of pictures, big font. They're pretty fun though, especially if you're in a reading slump and you like spooky middle grade. These are a great easy read to get you out of a reading slump. So then I got an American Chillers. This series, I don't even know. So I knew I had to get this one because I do live in Illinois. So I did find book number 6, The Invisible Iguanas of Illinois. It says, if you can't see them, you can't stop them. I can't even. I've never read an American Chillers or a Michigan Chillers yet, but I will. And I'm sure when I do, I am going to be, I don't even know. It could be wild. Ooh, do I have Trolls Don't Ride Roller Coasters? Yes, I do have that Bailey School Kids book. So this one is book number 6. Then this one, Jonathan Rand wrote these ones. They're pretty wild, but there you go, an American Chillers. And then this one I just got, and I was super excited about this book. So this one is Choose Your Own Nightmare, which these are a Choose Your Own Adventure series, but they're kind of like a spooky one, sort of like a Give Yourself Goosebumps. But this one is Island of Doom by Richard Brightfield. And this is book number 3 in the series. You can kind of see it on the spine there. Book number 3 in the series of Choose Your Own Nightmare. So they're like typical Choose Your Own Adventures, more than that Alternamorphs. Like it's like you read a page and then it tells you at the bottom, you know, your choice you can make, which way you want to go, or it tells you straight to go to another page. So that's Choose Your Own Nightmare. And then this one, I read this one a long time ago, and I remember really liking this book. And this one is a Bruce Koval. It's a magic shop book called The Skull of Truth. And this one's a lot of fun. This one's really, I remember it being kind of sad. Like it's a little bit of a sad book, but it's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, Coach Adams. I walked out of the store and I was just like, all right, here we go. My backseat is full of books from Goodwill and half price books. I always go used book shopping, so I'm up on all those used bookstores for sure. So this one is The Skull of Truth, which I was super excited to find this one because I didn't have it. I have all the other Magic Shop books, like Jennifer Murdley's Toad and Jeremy Thatcher Dragon Hatcher, and there's one more. The Monsters Ring is the other one. So these ones are a lot of fun. And then I found another Bruce Koval book, and this one is I Left My Sneakers in Dimension X, which this one is a Rod, what was it again? A Rod Albright Alien Adventure, which I think this is book 2 in that series. They don't have numbers on these. Bruce Koval was writing these back in the day when they kind of like were doing like, here's a sequel to this book and a sequel to this book. So they didn't have like numbered books, but you can kind of look up publication order and figure out which ones follow which one. So this one is I Left My Sneakers in Dimension X. And then this one I couldn't pass up. The cover like pulled me in. It looked so creepy and I just had to get it. And this one is a Step Up Classic Chiller of Dracula. I love that cover art right there. Oh, thank you, Julie. Actor Bronson was in a sitcom called Perfect Strangers along with various movies. Oh, thank you for that, because I was not sure exactly who he was from that Disney Adventures magazine. So this is a Step Up Classic Chillers Dracula, and obviously adapted for younger readers. Oh, Nescafe. I've always got a lot of reading to do. Do you see all these shelves back here? There's more shelves over there and more shelves over there. It's wild. So these ones, I was super excited about this. Some of the art looks really amazing. I thought it looked like a lot of fun. So I was thinking about reading this one for Halloween, like on Halloween. I thought that might be kind of fun. And then I found 2 more Ghosts of Fear Street books. Even though they say they're written by R.L. Stine on the cover, they're not written by R.L. Stine. They're written by all kinds of other people. But I found this one was at an antique store, and this is book number 19, Three Evil Wishes. So this one is another one in the Ghosts of Fear Street. This is takes place in the world of Fear Street, but these are like middle grade books for Fear Street. So this one is Three Evil Wishes. So is the Babysitter book 1 hard to find? Not really. I feel like book 4 is the harder one to find from what I have seen. So book 4 is a little trickier, but book 1 is pretty common because there's been a lot of reprints of it. So this one is Three Evil Wishes. And then I'm sorry for this jump scare that's coming because this cover is quite creepy. But this is book number 29. Prepare yourself. The Tale of the Blue Monkey. I kind of this cover kind of scares me, I'm not gonna lie. And it says on the cover though, this monkey's business is evil. So book number 29, Ghosts of Fear Street. This is when they changed over to the CGI covers, which I don't like the CGI covers. Now, one interesting thing about this is on the back it says special edition, and I have not been able to figure out what makes it a special edition. I have been trying to figure out, like, why is this a special edition? Like, what's going on with this particular copy? But I can't figure it out. So if anybody knows anything about special editions of Ghosts of Fear Street, please let me know, because I would really like to know. So then this one I also found at an antique store. And this one was in this bin that they put like banned books in. And so they had reasons why these books were banned. And so the reason why this book was banned was claims of night terrors in children. So I thought that's kind of interesting. And this book, it's like a short story collection, and it's called Night Frights, 13 Scary Stories by J.B. Stamper, who J.B. Stamper wrote the Tales from the Midnight Hour short story series, which those, I'm so sorry, my nose is itching a little bit. But those books, the Tales for the Midnight Hour books, those are really interesting because there are a lot of, if you remember, like if you were a kid in the 90s on the playground hearing like spooky stories from other kids, a lot of the stories came from those Tales from the Midnight Hour books. And so this one is another collection of short stories from J.B. Stamper. So I'm really excited to read this. I've read Tales from the Midnight Hour and still more Tales from the Midnight Hour, and there's a couple more of them, and they're really great little short stories. If you like short spooky stories, these could be really good. I'm excited to read this one. There's another one of these Night Frights books from what I could see. I think there's like more Night Frights, so I'm excited about this one. It looks like a lot of fun. So oh, someone is texting me something. Wait a minute. Ghosts of Fear Street. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. So, okay, this one, I had never heard of this before. And I saw it and I picked it up because this one is called The Psycho Zone, Kidzilla and Other Tales by David Lubar. So this is like short stories, and it reminded me of The Shadow Zone and The Weird Zone. Both of those series are middle grade spooky book series, but this one is The Psycho Zone, and it has like a bunch of short stories in it, including Kidzilla, where a kid literally wakes up and he realizes he is like a Godzilla. So it's pretty random, but kind of interesting. I'd never heard of these. And apparently there's another one in this series, but I think there's only 2 from what I could tell. So then this one's a little more of a modern one, but I found this copy because it has like a headless horseman. And I kind of love like Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I love that lore. I think it's a lot of fun. So this one is Scream Street, Skull of the Skeleton by Tommy, I think it's, how do you say it again? Dan Bavand. So this one is a newer series. It's a spooky book series, but this one looked like a lot of fun to me with that cover with the headless horse rider there. So it looks like a lot of fun. And then back to MD Spencer, I found another Shivers book that I did not have. And this one is book number 16, The Beast Beneath the Boardwalk, which I believe that Brandon from Mr. Mortman's Library, he recently read this one and said it wasn't good. So I mean, I'm interested to read it. This one was a really nice copy. I was super excited about it. So I was excited to find this one there on the shelf because sometimes these are really, really difficult to find. Shivers. Yeah, Nest Cafe, I agree. Anything like with Headless Horseman is just kind of a lot of fun. I think it's a really interesting kind of spooky thing that a lot of people actually haven't done much with. So I think it's really interesting. Okay, these two. So I was at this bookstore. And when I was there, it was a really cool store. It was actually a charity shop for going to help kids who are orphaned. And so it's like a charity store that all of the books are donated to it. And then proceeds from all the sales go to support kids who just don't have, any family anymore. And so I thought, oh, this is really cool. Plus, I'm finding a lot of fun books. But while I was there were these two workers who were hilarious. And they were talking to me the whole time. We had this long conversation, and they asked me like, "Oh, what kind of books are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I really love to collect 90s like spooky books, mystery books, things like that. Those are some of my favorites to find." And they said, "Oh, well, we have these over here. Maybe they'll be what you're looking for." And they're called spine chillers. And I said, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute. Pause. Let me see all those." They had the entire run of all the spine chillers. Now, here's what's interesting about spine chillers. Spine chillers was an offshoot, kind of like an off. I can't think of the word right now. Like not a. Oh, what is that word? I can't remember what the word is. Anyway, knockoff. A knockoff Goosebumps series, and this one is book number 1 in Spine Chillers by Freddy Katz, or Frady Katz, if you piece that together. And this one is called Dr. Shiver's Carnival of Terror. Now, this series was originally released as Spine Chillers, but then re-released as Spine Chillers Mysteries after the first 8 books had been published. So I'm going to turn around and grab this book because I have them over here all stacked up. So what's interesting... Oh, I definitely just dropped a bunch of books on the floor. Fun times. Anyways, oh yeah, Store Reads read Dr. Shivers. Yes, these are kind of interesting. So this is Spine Chillers Mysteries, the reprint edition, where it's just Dr. Shivers Carnival. And I thought that it was originally called Dr. Shivers Carnival of Terror, but then I couldn't find anything about it. Yes, I will be needing a new bookshelf soon, Nescafe. But this one, I found this Dr. Shivers Carnival of Terror in the original printing. And what's interesting about these is this is a Christian Goosebumps series. And what's fascinating is in the original runs, they didn't have as much about God in them, and they re-released them and added a lot of like prayers and Bible verses to the books. So I was like so intrigued by that. So now I have both copies and they're different, and I'm super excited to read this version because I've never read this version of it. I've only read this version of it. And then I also found my favorite of the Spine Chillers books, and that is Birthday Cake and Ice Cream. If you're going to read any Spine Chillers books, this is the one to read. This one is pretty scary and pretty fun, and it does have a clown in it named Spooky the Clown. And this is my favorite of all the Spine Chillers books. I think it's so fun. Yes, Coach Adam, he'll finish all of them books. It'll be October 2026. Accurate and not wrong. It's going to be a year of reading books. It should be fun though. So yes, Aaron says, yes, Birthday Cake is definitely the best. Yes, that one, it has a really creepy twist ending that's really clever. That I remember reading, I thought, oh, that's so clever. I really like that. So then next up, not to be confused with Spine Chillers, I found some Spine Tinglers by M.T. Coffin. And so I got a few more in this series, which if you saw my video, I did a review of book number 1, The Substitute Creature in this series. That is a terrible book. I did not like it. It was very bad. But there are other ones in this series that are so good. Like book number 5, Check It Out and Die. Such a good book. It has such an interesting twist. If you like the Page Master movie, you will love Check It Out and Die, book number 5. So I had to get a few more of these. So this is book number 2. This is Billy Baker's Dog Won't Stay Buried. And I will warn you, I have heard that this one has some interesting things. If you are a pet lover, especially a dog lover, I have heard don't read this book. That's what I've heard. So just warning you now. But this one is in Spine Tinglers. And so these are pretty fun. I've enjoyed all the ones I've read. I haven't read this one yet. So I'm a little nervous to read it after I heard about that, so we'll see what happens with it. But that one is Billy Baker's Dog Won't Stay Buried. And then I also found book number 3, My Teacher's a Bug. I was like, I don't know what's happening in this, but it says, what's 6'2", green and eats flies? The teacher. These, good question, Coach Adam. These are not written by the same author. They're written by a bunch of different authors. So the ones that are written by the person who wrote The Substitute Creature, I've heard all of theirs are kind of boring. So that's that. Let's see. Isaiah said, I don't own a lot of middle-aged books, but I do own a few of the Goosebumps books. Don't care for the newer updated covers they add on them. Agreed. I like the original covers. That's where it's at. That's what I think is the best. So this one, book number 3 in Spine Tinglers. And then this one is book number, 4? Where Have All the Parents Gone? Which I've heard this one's really good. It's like an alien invasion kind of entry in the series. So there's no place like home. And then this one I've heard is not that great. So kind of a mixed bag apparently. But this one is book number 6. Simon Says Croak. So we'll see. This one says don't move or you're out of the game forever. I think that's so funny. And then these ones I found at Goodwill. And I don't think I would have bought them if they weren't at Goodwill because I don't love the covers. But yes, those covers, Coach Adam, are so 90s. That is accurate. So these ones are in the Tombstone series, and this one is the book, I believe, book number 2, The Graves. So I haven't read any of these yet. They're by Screamin' Calhoun. So we'll see what they're like. I'll definitely review them once I read them. These ones were, I think, were a self-published one. They're in indie titles that are kind of like supposed to be a Goosebumps kind of throwback series. So we'll see what happens in these. I also found book number 3 in the same Tombstone series, The Rowan Tree. And these look kind of interesting too. So we'll see what happens in this one. And then this one, prepare yourselves. You can't even prepare yourself for this cover. I saw this cover and I looked at it and I said, do I actually want to own that? And I said, yes. So I found book number 5 in the Weird Zone series. And that is The Brain That Wouldn't Obey. And I am going to read you what this book is about. So that way yes, middle grade. Oh, I knew what you meant, Isaiah. This one, I'm going to read to you what this book is about because you just can't even guess what it's about. So this one, it says, Mike is excited about his potato project for the science fair. Mike dreams of winning first prize, but he gets more than he bargained for. The potato grows a mind of its own. It starts sending out sound waves and controlling everyone in Grover's Mill. Mike feels a bit like Dr. Frankenstein, but can he restore Grover's Mill back to its normal weird ways? So literally on the cover, it says, see the largest brain ever, hear the potato chant. This one is about a potato that grows a brain and tries to take over a city. I don't know. I just don't even know. But that one is definitely, Weird Zone is a great title for that. Yes, very much reminds me of the Frankenstein Joe says. Agreed. Okay, so switching gears over to some Nancy Drew, because I have quite a few Nancy Drew books to show you. Let me see if I can get to them because they're all on this table that is beside me, and there's a lot of books over here. Okay, sliding them over carefully to all of the Nancy Drew books that I got. So many. All right, here we go. So I found the Nancy Drew books, they re-released these, and I really actually love these like 80s and 90s covers. This is book number 73, Enemy Match. So these came out in like the 80s and 90s, and they re-released a bunch of the original ones as these 80s and 90s editions, which these are really fun because they rewrote them with like malls and like car phones and like all those sorts of things. So it's kind of a fun 80s 90s version of Nancy Drew. So that's 73, Enemy Match. And then this one looks really interesting to me. This is number 74, The Mysterious Image. And it says on there, picture this, the key to a kidnapping concealed in a rock video, which I love that kind of stuff. Like there's like a hidden thing. Yeah, Nescafe, Potato Brain. These titles are getting more and more wild, accurate, and true. So this one, I love these kind of things where there's like something hidden in plain sight to solve the mystery. So I'm excited to read this one. I've read a couple of these reprints of the Nancy Drew books, and they're a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of 80s, 90s vibes in them. And then this one, they switched up the covers around book 140 in the Nancy Drew series, and I don't love the covers as much, but this one was like 99 cents. This is the Missing Horse Mystery. So this one says, Danger's riding high, and Nancy's in its path. So there you go, book number 145. They even the spines like went for that kind of that flashlight yellow that they had on those flashlight reprint books, but I don't love it on these. I just don't love the fonts as much, but oh well. So then they also had, back in the 80s and 90s, they released these Nancy Drew Files books, which are like a YA kind of series with Nancy Drew. And this is case number 86, Let's Talk Terror. And these are another kind of, 80s, 90s, mall, all that kind of stuff. So they're a lot of fun. And then I got two more in the Nancy Drew Notebook series. So this is book number 4, Bad Day for Ballet. So these are really short books. They're kind of like, I think of these as like the Muppet Babies version of Nancy Drew, because they're basically like Nancy Drew when she was in 3rd grade and meeting all the characters. So it's kind of like a Muppet Babies sort of situation. And then I also got book number 12 in the Nancy Drew notebooks, The Puppy Problem. Very, very, intense mysteries here. And then these ones are kind of awesome. They are Nancy Drew Hardy Boys crossover books that are YA books. So I found a few of these. So the first one I got was Murder on the 4th of July. So these are longer. They're usually about, I think, usually right in at almost 200 pages, right around 200 pages. So that's Murder on the 4th of July. And then this one is called Passport to Danger. Oh yeah, Isaiah says, I'm ashamed to admit I only read one Nancy Drew book for the first time as an adult, The Secret of the Old Clock. Yeah, I mean, that's a classic. If you're going to read one, that is a classic. I really like some of these YA ones that they did. They're a little more intense than the regular Nancy Drews. So, and Hardy Boys, and we'll get to some of those Hardy Boys case files here in a minute. But this one is Passport to Danger. And then I also found this one is Mystery Train. That one, looks kind of intense, that classic on top of the train. We'll find out if they try and jump when they're running on top of a train, which if you know from physics, that doesn't work, but it always happens in movies. And then this one is another one, Hits and Misses, where Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys team up. I can't remember if they put Frank and Nancy in a relationship in these books. I know that happens sometimes in Nancy Drew, but this might be a series where they do that if I remember right. I think Joe doesn't have a girlfriend in this one, but sometimes Joe has a girlfriend who's Iola, I think her name is, but this one she doesn't. Never read a Hardy Boys book either, but I want to try them out. I've got a recommendation for you if you want to try Hardy Boys. I recommend the Hardy Boys case files. Those are pretty fun. I like those a lot. Let's see. Coach Adam says, have you ever read Circuit Du Freak series? Oh, by Darren Shan. I have not read that series. I've wanted to read it though, and mainly because the writer of the Alex Rider series, Anthony Horowitz, has a really weird beef with Darren Shan. And in that book series, from what I understand, Darren Shan included a character who was basically Anthony Horowitz, the author. And so Anthony Horowitz wrote a like response story where he did a short story about Darren Shan being like haunted. It was wild. It's in the bloody complete bloody Horowitz collection of Anthony Horowitz's short stories. So that intrigues me so much, and I've wanted to read that series because of that, because I want to know what's going on with Anthony Horowitz and like what's going on there. So it's very intriguing to me. I want to read that. I read the Last Apprentice series, or Spooks, it's sometimes called in the UK. And that one I had gotten mixed up with Darren Shan, but then it's totally different author. But those are pretty fun too. So this one is another Nancy Drew Hardy Boys super mystery, Danger Down Under, which this one I found at Goodwill and just sitting there on the shelf by its lonesome. And it said, "Hello, Shaun, take me home." So I did. So there we go. Okay, so let's move over to a few Star Wars books. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't make comments about current Star Wars stuff because I know it's really divisive to some people, and I try to be super positive and everything. So I don't like to make a lot of comments about current Star Wars, but here we go. So, yes, that is true. It's like Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys, and there are murder mysteries in those YA ones. They're not just like a theft of a jewel or someone's trying to steal property by doing fraud, like it's or blackmail. It's like more intense on those Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys books. So I found a few Star Wars books. So I'm going to go through these. So this one is a 2000 series called Star Wars Jedi Apprentice by Jude. And this one's not by Jude Watson. This one is Dave Wolverton. And this one is book number 1, The Rising Force. So this is like a middle grade Star Wars series that came out after these are kind of based on the Phantom Menace kind of time frame of Star Wars. And then this is book number 2 in the Jedi Apprentice series, The Dark Rival. And this one is by Jude Watson, who is like the premier middle grade Star Wars writer. And then again by Jude Watson, this is in the Jedi Apprentice series, book number 9. This one is The Fight for Truth. And then in the Star Wars Jedi Quest series, I haven't read any of these yet, just FYI. But this one is book number 5, and this one's called The School of Fear. And I believe these ones came out a little bit later, so you have some different people in these ones. I believe this one was after the second prequel film, which is movie 2, I believe, Attack of the Clones. Yes, that's the one. So this series came out after that. The Jedi Quest series, also by Jude Watson. And then this one I actually found this for my niece, she was asking her parents about Star Wars, and I don't think she's seen any of the movies, but she's seen all the books because her dad loves the Star Wars books. And she said, I would like to read a Star Wars book, and she loves to read. So my sister-in-law asked me, like, hey, do you know of any good Star Wars series for kids that are younger? And I said, yes, I do. There's a series from when I was younger that I read that I loved. And that is the Star Wars Junior Jedi Knight series. And this series is so good. I love this. It came out in the 90s. And this is book number 2. And this one is by Nancy Richardson. And in this series, you have a totally different timeline than what is currently in the Star Wars lore. So people would consider these Legends novels now. But this one is where Han Solo and Leia Organa have some other kids. They have twins and then a younger son whose name is Anakin. And these are about Anakin, who is at the Jedi Academy with Luke Skywalker. It's a whole thing. Carmen says, watching this haul makes me feel like I walked in my boy's childhood bedroom. Warms his mama's heart. I love it. I love it so much. It's great. So yeah, this one is book number 2, Lyrics World. These are so fun, but so hard to find. I barely see these. But I found this one from Carol at Carol's Old Book Barn. And Carol's Old Book Barn was the best. Like literally that store The way she had it decorated was amazing. You would walk into different areas of the store, like the adventure books, and you'd walk in and there were like all these like fake plants, and you're like walking in through a jungle, and there's like suitcases on the walls and stuff. And then you walk in the horror section and she had like all these horror movie posters everywhere. And then you walk around this corner that you can't see, and there's this life-size animatronic that jumps out at you in the horror area. It was so awesome. I loved that store. It was amazing. Carol was incredible. She was awesome. She was like helping me out so much with so many books, like finding different things. Let's see. Coach Adams says, Shaun, how long would a book that size take you to read? 2 days. It depends on how much time I have. This one is like 120-ish pages. So this one probably I could, if I was just sitting down to read straight through, probably just a couple hours. But life is busy and sometimes I don't get through them that fast. So sometimes a little longer than that, but maybe a couple days at the most. So, but I try and get through these shorter ones so I don't get in a reading slump for sure. So then I found some adult Star Wars novels. This one I actually had when I was younger, but I gave it to Goodwill and I regret it. So this one is Star Wars, and this is a reprint in the Legends. I had it before it had the Legends thing on there, but this is book number 1 in the Bounty Hunter Wars, The Mandalorian Armor. So this one is all about Boba Fett, and it's all about bounty hunters. If that part of Star Wars intrigues you, this is a trilogy of books and they're a lot of fun. They're super great. I loved these ones. And then this one, I have not read this one. This is by Michael A. Stackpole, and this one is called I, Jedi. So this one is another one. These are longer, obviously, like 500-ish pages. They're adult novels, but this one's called I, Jedi, and it's a standalone novel from what I can tell. I haven't read this one, though. And then this one is book number 3 in the 3-book cycle of the last. This is The Last Command, and this is the Timothy Zahn book, which Timothy Zahn's Star Wars novels were like the incredible ones. Like he came up with Thrawn. He was the one who came up with a lot of really awesome characters for Star Wars lore. And so this one was an old edition of it. And so I was super excited to find this mass market paperback edition. And then I found this hardback one of The Truce at Baccarat. And I was trying to remember if I'd read this before, and I feel like I have, but I can't remember. It takes place after Return of the Jedi in the Legends lore, and so this one is by Kathy Tyers and is The Truce at Baccarat. All right, so I've got some fantasy books here that I also picked up, a few Redwalls and a few others. So let's go through these. Here we go. You thought it was over, but it ain't over yet. So I've got a few Redwalls, and I'm pulling up the numbers so I can remember for you. So this one I picked up. These are all mass market paperback editions. This is book number 8, The Outcast of Redwall by Brian Jacques. This is a series that's so fun. If you like fantasy that's like medieval fantasy but has animals as the characters, this is a great series. So this one is book number 8. And I can't remember if I've read this one before. This one vaguely seemed familiar to me, but I wasn't for sure. Excuse me. And then I also found book number 10 in like pristine condition, The Long Patrol. So Carmen says, love Redwall, love it. So this one is The Long Patrol. This is book number 10. These are just so fun. I really love the mystery in these and the action. I will say you have to get used to reading the dialogue in these books because Brian Jacques writes the dialogue often phonetically. So you have to like kind of piece together exactly what they're saying because there's like Scottish brogue in here that's like written phonetically. So, but they're a lot of fun. I enjoy them. And then also I picked up book number 11, Marl Fox, which another pretty nice condition, mass market paperback. These were all from Goodwill. I usually only pick them up at Goodwill because I feel like whenever I see them at half price books, they're overpriced. They're like $6 or $7. And so I'm like, I'm not going to pay $6 or $7 for that. I'm going to pay $1 if I find it at Goodwill. So I did. And then this one is book number 14, which I've never read this one, Tagarung. So this one, book number 14, this is the author, Brian Jacques. He is a pretty awesome author, in my opinion. He's a great author. And then I also found book number 15, Triss. This one, another really great addition, and these ones are interesting because they have this little step back art there, which I thought was really awesome. I really liked that they had those in there. So this one, book number 15, Triss. And then this one, this was so awesome. So I am an Oz book collector, which you can see some of my Oz books right here. Those are some of my Oz books that I have. And I have a few shelves of Oz books, but I'm an Oz book collector. And one of the Oz books I did not have was The Little Wizard Stories of Oz by L. Frank Baum. And so I was at Carol's old book barn, and I found that she had a whole shelf of Oz books. And I kind of started geeking out because she had stuff that I had never even heard of before. And I was sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, like, well, you have so many Oz books. And so I started talking to her about Oz books, and she told me that almost all the books on the shelf are from her personal collection. And she was selling them off because she was saying, I asked my kids if they wanted them. They said they didn't want them. I asked my grandkids if they wanted them. They said they didn't want them. So I decided to sell them. And so I was like talking to her about Oz. I told her I collect Oz. I told her how my great grandparents had picked up these older copies right here on the shelf. And so I was given them by my parents who had them. And so I'm kind of the keeper of the Oz books in our family now. And so I told her, like, I collect them and try and get them all together. And yes, Nescafe, this is a fun little Oz book. I'll tell you about this one. I love this one. So I asked her, I said, like, oh yeah, these are so great. How often do you get other Oz books in? And she said, well, do you want to go look in the back? Because I actually have a whole shelf in the back of other Oz books. If you want to look and see if there's any you want to get. And so I went to the back, and I got to go in the back of this store at Carol's old book barn, through saloon doors past the Western section, which I loved. And she had a whole shelf of tons and tons of rare Oz books. And this was one of them on the shelf that I did not have. Now, this one is Little Wizard Stories of Oz, and it's actually a collection of Oz stories. And it's in this beautiful, she like kept such good care of this book, this beautiful dust jacket hardback edition. And it has short stories in it, which I find fascinating. And it has these beautiful like color pictures in it. And these came out, they were originally written as little tiny booklets, and there were six of them. Yes, six of them. And they came out as booklets in 1913. And then in 1914, the publishers decided, let's group them all together in one book and add illustrations to them by John R. Neal, who was the Oz illustrator for a very long time. So they collected all of these stories into one book, and they're like little short stories from the land of Oz. And I was thinking, wow, this is very interesting for the 1900s, like the early 1900s there, to have a short story collection that goes along with a book series that's pretty big and has lots of lore. Each one of the short stories collects like two Oz characters together and then has them go on some kind of adventure. And I love this book. If you are looking for a cozy, easy read, this is such a fun one to read. These are great ones for little kids too, to read like little kids to read to little kids, or if you have little kids and want to read some Oz stories that they can really like handle and they're not as long, these are awesome. I love this collection. It's so great. So this is a 1985 edition of this collection, and I'm so excited that I have a copy of it now. So then moving on to something very fascinating. So I have been intrigued by this series. This is a fantasy series by Catherine Fisher called Relic Master, and this is book number 4, The Margrave. And this is a hardback edition, which there are 4 books in this series. I have books 1 and then book 2, but I don't have book 3. But what I realized actually today when I was looking at these to get ready for this live stream was I looked down here in the corner, and it says the reverse of this jacket holds the final piece of the map of Anara. Collect all 4 books, collect all 4 maps, Anara will be yours. And then I said, wait a minute, what is going on here? And so I looked on the inside of the jacket, and it is a huge map poster in 4 pieces. There we go. You can kind of see it. I'll be right back. So then the 4 pieces right there, this huge map. Let's see, it goes this way. There we go. So you piece all of them together to get the whole map of this fantasy world. And I was like, that is genius. I kind of love this. So I have 3 of the pieces of the map. Got to find the 4th piece in book 3. Someday I will. So I'm excited about that. It's a fantasy series. It's kind of about like relics and like magical items that are like gone amok in the world of this fantasy world. So could be really interesting. Let's see. Nest Cafe said, I wonder if Baum wrote that Oz short stories book back when he was writing short stories of Mother Goose. That's a great observation. I know for sure that they wrote them to promote book number 7, The Patchwork Girl of Oz, because after the first 6 Oz books, L. Frank Baum was actually going to be done writing Oz. He was like, I'm done with Oz. I want to do other stuff. And then they took a couple years off and came back with The Patchwork Girl of Oz, which is a great Oz book. And so I think it was like to kind of help get people back in the Oz mood with some short stories to tide them over until book 7 came out, which book 7 is one of the longest original Oz books. It's very long, very complicated story. It's really well done. I really like it. So then a few other fantasy series I found a few entries in. This is book number 4 in the Spectrum Chronicles series by Thomas Locke, which you can see I got it for $2 right there. I couldn't get that sticker off. I tried and it just was not doing well. So this is a really interesting series because it's like a fantasy sci-fi mix, kind of like if you've ever seen the movie Kroll from the 1980s, where they tried to mix like Lord of the Rings with like Star Wars. That's kind of what this series is like. It's a middle grade series that's all like sci-fi and fantasy combined. So I haven't read any yet, but I'm highly intrigued by them. And then I also picked up another book in the Spirit Animal series with which Jonathan from Mr. Pearson Reads Books channel, he was like, you got to read some Spirit Animal books. So I grabbed this one because I saw it at Goodwill. This is book number 4 in the Spirit Animal series, Fire and Ice by Shannon Hale. This is a middle grade book series that came out after the height of the 39 Clues was like super popular. And so they had some other series that they were putting out like 39 Clues, which 39 Clues, great book series. If you've never read them, they're a lot of fun. So this one's another one, kind of a fantasy series from Scholastic in that kind of vein. And then I found 4 books in the Spirit Flyer series, which these are really interesting. These are by John Bybee, and they're what's known as spiritual warfare novels. So there's like demons trying to take over this small town, and these kids have these magical bicycles that they can ride on and fly and save the town from the demons that are trying to do plots to get rid of the town. It's really interesting. So this one is The Last Christmas, the holiday scheme to stop spirit flyers. This is book number 5 in the series. And then this one is book number 6 in the series, The Runaway Parents, which this one's another like kind of like alien invasion kind of idea where the parents' minds are being taken over kind of stuff. And then book number 7, this one is The Perfect Star, which I don't really know what's going on in this one. So there it is. And then the last book in the series, book number 8, The Journey of Wishes. And yes, that is a flying tractor. So I don't know what's going on in this book because I haven't gotten to this one yet, obviously, but I'm intrigued why the tractor is flying. And we will find out, I suppose. And then I picked up another book in this medieval fantasy series, and this one's called Winds of Light. This is book number 7, The Jester's Quest by Sigmund Brouwer. So I thought this looked kind of interesting and intriguing to me, so I went ahead and picked this one up. Okay, I'm looking at my stack. I've got one more stack of books, and it's all the Hardy Boys. So here we go. I'm going to move some books over to get to my Hardy Boys books here because this table is full of books right now. So I am trying to not drop books on the floor like I did earlier. And okay, here we go. Sliding these over. Okay. All right, so I've got some Hardy Boys. So they also, along with the Nancy Drew ones, they reprinted the Hardy Boys in the 80s and 90s in these new updated editions that are like, again, with malls and like car phones and 80s stuff, and it's a lot of fun. So this is book number 76, Game Plan for Disaster. So Frank and Joe tackle the mysterious case of the kidnapped quarterback. So this one looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to save this for snowy season because snowy is on the cover for sure. And then I also picked up another one in the series. This one, I don't know what this for. It was not $4. I got this for like 99 cents. This is book number 82. I don't know why this 4 sticker is on here. It just was. So I haven't been able to get it off yet. So this is book number 82, The Black Wing Puzzle. And it says, a ghost holds the key to a high-tech mystery, which I'm intrigued by this one. I'm curious what this one's about. So I'm going to see if I get to this one during this spooky season. I might not, but I'll get to it eventually. And then I also picked up, this is book number 87, Program for Destruction. This one's Frank and Joe face a factory full of crazed computers. And, those are very high-tech looking computers and a robot that probably moves very slowly, but I'm sure is menacing somehow. So that one is 87. So there you go. And then I have a whole stack of Hardy Boys case files, which these are the ones that I was going to recommend. If you've never read any Hardy Boys books, the Hardy Boys case files books are pretty entertaining. They're pretty intense. They have a lot more going on. Book number 1's first chapter is really shocking. And I remember reading it and thinking, whoa, this is not Hardy Boys as I remember. There's a lot more going on here. And there's like a lot of international stuff going on with like spies and all kinds of things. They're really interesting. So this one is number 5, Edge of Destruction. So here we go. We're going to go through a stack of these. And then this one I got for $1. This is book number 10, Hostages of Hate. And then this one is book number 15, Blood Relations. And it says on there, blood is as thick as thieves. So who knows? And then this one is number 25, The Borderline Case. So could be interesting. And then this one, I really love this because of cactuses. I think cactuses are kind of awesome. So this one is number 31, Without a Trace. So it's kind of like a Western-y kind of Hardy Boys. And then number 38, Diplomatic Deceit, which for a second I was like, is that Nancy Drew showing up on the cover? But it's not Nancy Drew. Her name is Callie Shaw, and she's a character in these books sometimes. And then this one is number 40, and this one is called Fright Wave. So this one is really interesting. It looks like a good summertime read. Yes, Nescafe. I would definitely recommend with these case files ones to go back to book number 1 and read book 1 because they do slightly build on each other. And I think book 1 sets up some stuff for the later series that would be good to know. Otherwise, you'd be kind of like, wait, what's happening with this? So that's pretty good. Let's see. Storm Reed said, not try the case files, but I have read 3 OG Hardy Boys and enjoyed them so far. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the OG Hardy Boys. They're pretty fun. And yes, there we go. And then this is book number 41, Highway Robbery. These are pretty easy to find, by the way, too. Like especially half-price books. If you have one near you, they're always at a half-price books. They've got some of these. And book 1 is actually not hard to find either. This is book number 50, Power Play. And then this one was 20 cents, 20 whole cents. Book number 54, Deep Trouble, which I'll have to save this for summertime to read that one because, sharks. And then this one is book number 59, Open Season. When you follow the call of the wild, danger is always on the prowl. So great. And then this one is number 74, Road Pirates, which kind of has like a Dukes of Hazzard kind of vibe, in my opinion. I don't know. Could be interesting. And then this one is all the way up to number 100, True Thriller. These go up pretty high. There's a lot of these. So there you go. And then this one, this is where they started changing the covers. And I don't love these covers very much, but they were trying to go with this like 90s show that they were trying to do with the Hardy Boys. So this is book 105, Law of the Jungle. And see, look for the exciting new TV series, which I will admit, I've never heard of this version of the Hardy Boys TV series. There is another Hardy Boys TV series, actually a couple. There was a newer one recently on Hulu, I believe it was, but I honestly didn't really love it that much. It was kind of slow moving in my opinion. And then there was another series from back in the 70s where it had Shaun Cassidy, who spells his name correctly, and then Parker Stevenson, and so Stevenson and Shaun, it's great, and they were in that series of Hardy Boys, and those are pretty fun. I like those. They're definitely the 70s camp and like kind of ridiculousness, but they're a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoy them, but I've never seen this series, and I don't know if it's available anywhere. I haven't been able to find it. So if you know somewhere that you can watch this, please let me know. Maybe it's on YouTube. I haven't really looked hard on YouTube to see if I could find it yet. But this one is number 105, The Law of the Jungle. And then the last book today. Here it is. Number 110, Bad Chemistry. An experiment in danger could be poison. There we go. So that is book 110 in the Hardy Boys Case Files series. Whew! That is all of the books. I'm now surrounded like by piles of books that are all right here around me. I'm so excited that I, like, over the last couple of months, found these and am able to show them all to you because I love sharing these things that I find with you. I think it's a lot of fun. So I can stay on for a few more minutes. So if anyone has any questions about any of my books at all, any of these books, anything at all, ask me. I may not answer, but I will try to answer. So feel free to ask me any questions down below. I will tell you, I am working on a few more videos. I've read a couple more Goosebumps ones, so I'm going to be putting up some more Goosebumps reviews soon. I've read The Phantom of the Auditorium, which I really loved. And then I've been reading the tales, even more tales from Goosebumps. I can't remember the exact title. It's book number 4 in the Tales Goosebumps books, where it's like short stories of Goosebumps. And so I've been reading that, and they're all Halloween short stories. So I've been super excited to read that, and I've been having fun with it so far. I've read like 3 of the stories, and they're a lot of fun. There's some great little spooky stories. Yeah, Nescafe says, looks like you're pretty booked up. Accurate and true. I've got a lot of books to read. That is true. I just think that it's a lot of fun to like see what different books are out there and like take a look at all those things, and it's a lot of fun. See, Coach Adam says, how hard is it to get followers and viewers? I get like 3 views. Is there any tricks? Book talk. Ooh. Yeah, so I mean, this is the thing they always say about YouTube. So a little behind the scenes of BookTube and YouTube, but I decided a long time ago when I first started this channel a couple years ago, I said, you know what? When I am doing this BookTube thing, I want to talk about the books that I would want to watch videos about, because you could go and like talk about really popular books, and that's awesome if people want to talk about really popular books, of all different kinds and genres. But for me, I'm like, I want to talk about the books I want to talk about. And I think there is something to just staying true to who you are and what your books are, and to keep going, because the people will find you, and they will find you, the people who are into the same kind of books as you. So just keep going and keep looking for it. And I think just having fun. I'm all about like, let's have fun. Let's have a good time. Like, I think that's a good way to do it. So that would be my advice. Like, definitely keep going, keep being true to you and the books you like to read, and making videos. Sometimes I make some videos that I'm like, I know nobody's read this series. I know probably no one's ever going to read this series, but I want to read this series and I want to watch videos about it. And there was actually one book review I did that was really awesome. I did a review on a book called Journey to Juna by Kim Engelman. And that was a book that like hardly anyone's ever heard of. And I remember reviewing it, and it had like low views. And then the son of the author got on the comments and said, I was looking up my mom's books and I found your video. And this is so fun to like hear her books being talked about. And I was like, this like makes my day. This is so awesome that the son of this author was looking up his mom's books, and like found her books and things being talked about on a random YouTube video. So it was like one of my favorite things from BookTube. I really love it. Oh yeah, Nescafe said, what made me a subscriber to Shaun is his Oz books review. Love them. I know, I love Oz books. I have another one that I haven't reviewed yet. I actually have Handy Mandy in Oz, and I've tried it a couple of times to review that book, and I keep having to scrap the review and start over because it's a complicated Oz book, and there's a really interesting plot twist that's revealed through illustrations in that book that I've been trying to figure out, like, how do I even talk about this without spoiling this plot point? So I don't know. So yeah, Storm Reed said, yeah, I read what I like and hope those who like those books find me. Yeah, I love watching Storm Reed's channel. If you haven't watched Storm Reed's channel, you should go check out Storm Reed's channel, because she does a lot of like daily book like vlogs, and talks about the different books that she's read, and she's got a lot of fun ones that she's read, especially if you like, mysteries, things like that. Like, I love it. It's a lot of fun to watch. So yeah. And then, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Nescafe. I really enjoy that. I since enjoyed all the different book reviews. Thank you for saying that. That's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it. So it's a lot of fun to talk about books. And, I think it's hard because sometimes in real life, quote unquote, you don't always find the people who like the same books as you. It just doesn't always happen. And so I love that we have BookTube as a place to come and talk about these books. Julie says, I really enjoy your channel. Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate it very much. So yeah, Storm Reed said, also chat on people's channels and maybe they'll check yours out. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Yeah, get involved in the BookTube community. If you're making BookTube videos, go check out different booktubers and watch their stuff, comment on their things, interact with them. And it's like you form this like cool little community together. It's a lot of fun. So there's a couple booktubers that like I message with every now and again who I know are looking for the same kind of books as me. So I'm always like, hey, I found this thing. Have you seen this? So it's a lot of fun. That reminds me, I forgot about a book that's on the floor. Wait. Oh no, where is it? Oh no. Oh, I don't know where I put it. Wait, is it on my book cart? Aha! There's one more book. I totally forgot. I had not known this was a thing. I just read this book. That's why it was on my book cart to review, because I haven't reviewed it yet. And this is a Frank and Joe Hardy, the Clues Brothers, The Gross Ghost Mystery. And this is the first book in a like it's like the Nancy Drew Notebook series, where it's like a really short, easy read, really big font and pictures and things, but it's a Hardy Boys version of this, where the Hardy Boys are like third and fourth graders and solving mysteries in their town. And this was a great little mystery. I really liked this book quite a bit. So this one was a lot of fun. I'm going to do a review of this one pretty soon. But this is the bonus book that I forgot that I had put on my card. I never heard of these. I didn't know they were a thing. I loved this book. It was so fun to read. Like, it was just like a quick, easy read, but it was great. And it had a great little ghost story going on. So that was fun. So let's see. Joe says, do you plan to watch Wishbone this Halloween? Oh, yes, please, Joe, put some recommendations in the chat of any Wishbone Halloween themed episodes. I do have on my list of Halloween. I have a little stack of Halloween books, which I guess I'll show you guys since you guys are here. I'll show you which books real quick that I have on my Halloween stack. So I have Nancy Drew Ghost Stories. So that one looks like a lot of fun. And then I have A Murder, She Wrote, Trick or Treachery, which I'm so excited to read this one. Oh yeah, it does have the skull hidden on the cover. If you see it, it's like right here. There's always skulls like hidden on the covers right there. So, in the earlier ones, but there you go. And then this one's really interesting. I'm so excited to read this. This is Samantha Slade. Oh, let's see. Monster Sitter. So this one, she's like a vampire babysitter, from what I understand. And she like takes care of monster kids, from what I understand from the series. Like, there's the little girl who's a wolf, and then there's a vampire kid, I think. So that one's on my list. I also have on my Halloween list, this one is Monster Street, The Halloweeners by J.H. Reynolds. This one, I think Library Macabre talked about this book, Cameron Chaney, and he really recommended it, said it was a good one. And then a couple of Goosebumps books on my list. This one was Zombie Halloween. This is in the Most Wanted series. It's special edition number 1. And then also on my Halloween reads list this is Most Wanted special edition number 3, Trick or Trap. Well, there it is. Oh, Storm reads, you read The Halloweeners? Oh, that's awesome. There you go. And then this one is really funny looking. The jack-o'-lantern that ate my brother is on my Halloween reads list. And then a Berenstein Bears one, Berenstein Bear Scouts, Ghost versus Ghost. Got to read another Berenstein Bears, you know. Oh yeah, and then the second Berenstein Bears on my list. This one is a regular big chapter one, The Ghost of the Auto Graveyard. And then the last one on my Halloween reads, Joe, this one was for you. I picked this one out because I was like, oh, Joe would want me to read this one, The Halloween Joker. So there we go. So those are my Halloween reads. So let's see. Coach Adam said, we got our book fair this week at my school. My students are going to be excited. The book fair. That's amazing. I love it. That's so awesome. I have fond memories of going to the book fair as a kid. I remember that's where I picked up the Star Wars Galaxy of Fear first book. It was like the Star Wars Goosebumps series. It was so great. Let's see. Julie says, do you remember the first book you read on your own when you were little? Yes. The first book I remember, like the first chapter book I really remember reading on my own when I was little was The Lost Princess of Oz by L. Frank Baum. That one is the one I remember reading. Like I have a vivid memory of reading that book as one of like the first books I read. So that one was a lot of fun. Let's see. Oh yeah, Coach Adam said the fourth grade nothing. Oh yeah, you mentioned that recently in the comments. I remember that book. That was a pretty fun one. So yeah, Storm reads. Yeah, there's a lot of fun reads coming up. And yeah, book fairs. Like I feel like they should do like book fairs for adults where it's like all the books like lined up like a book fair would be like in a store. Like Barnes and Noble should do this like during like, you know, book fair season, like put up a whole display of like it's a book fair. I think it would be so fun. Have the bookmarks, little erasers for the pencils, you know, all that stuff. I think it'd be really fun. So yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I just think book fairs were like so great, and like looking through the little magazine that you could like look at all the books and see like what was there and like what things you wanted to order and things. So I always remember, I think my parents said we could always get like one book at the book fair kind of thing. So I'd always kind of like look through and decide exactly which thing. Oh, Joe's got some Wishbone Halloween episodes for us. I recommend Frankenbone. That's a good one. Halloween Hound, The Legend of the Creepy Collars. And that was released on VHS as Wishbone and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And then Panton at the Opera. I love the titles they come up with. Yes, and Coach Adam, the posters were always so fun to look at, like the cars and Mustangs and jets. Yes, there were always posters of like the Blue Angels and like random fighter jets and stuff. That was always so funny to me. I thought it was great. So, all right. Last call for any questions before I shut down the stream for the night, because this has been a lot of fun, but I got to put all these books away before I go to bed because I don't want to leave them all out. So any other questions anybody has, put them in the chat real quick. I'll try and get to them if I can. I'm going to take a sip of my decaf Tim Hortons coffee from my Canadian friends. So Joe says another one I recommend is The Slobbery Hound, inspired by the Hound of the Baskervilles. I love that short story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Such a great Sherlock Holmes story, and Wishbone just takes it to the next level. There you go. Oh, thanks, Coach Adam. I really appreciate that. Then the next live one. I have something very special coming up for a live stream. My brother and I were talking about it, and I said, what do you think about this? If we did a live stream like this, like, do you think people would like that? And he said, ooh, that's a great idea. So I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be yet, but it will be soon because I'm putting together all the notes for it, and I think it's going to be really fun. So there's going to be some polls involved and like lots of time in the chat for people to give me some opinions on some things. It's going to be great. So awesome. Putting the books up isn't as fun as showing them off. Agreed. It's always a lot of work because they call it, when I worked at a bookstore for a long time, and we always called it massaging the shelves when we had to move books around to get books to fit in. Oh, Joe says, one more I recommend is Mixed Breeds, inspired by the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I remember that episode. That was a good one. So thank you all so much for coming. These are just so much fun. Like I literally, like after the last live stream, I was just like just like living life, so excited about how it all went, and I was so excited about it. And I feel like this has been like number two, just so much fun. So we will definitely do another one of these sometime soon. So thanks for joining, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have fun, have a fun spooky season. Definitely let me know what books you're reading for spooky season and Halloween and all the things, and we'll see you next time. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.